Great. Hey everybody, thanks for joining us live from Indianapolis, Gen Con 2015, and we are here to cover the Catan National Championships. From this game advances to the Worlds, and it's tons of fun. I've got a great panel with me today. I've got Mr. Alex Yeager from Mayfair Games.
Good afternoon.
I've got Mr. Pete Fenlon, CEO of Mayfair Games.
Good afternoon.
And Mr. Bill Wertelsman, also from Mayfair Games.
Good afternoon, everybody.
We have 4 players with us, obviously.
Yes,
obviously there's 4. The players are,
so
we've got
far.
Scott Scribner, who is orange, and he was the world champion in 2006. We've got Shiv Chopra playing the blue, who was the winner of PAX East in 2011. We've got MJ Isabella playing the white, who won Origins just this year, and Mr. Robert Fugiel, who won WolfCon
Yes.
in 2014.
Okay.
And the game has already started, and there's already some interesting stuff going on.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Absolutely.
Talk
Yeah.
to us, Alex.
Fortunately for us, we don't have to be proven wrong in our initial predictions, so we can say that they absolutely did what we predicted them to. Blue was our first player, our first placement,
Yeah.
and I'm sorry, it was white.
Actually,
was our
white
first
was
placement.
first
White was our
placement,
first
yes, white.
placement,
Yeah.
and immediately jumped on that juicy 10-4-5 there. So
Yeah.
MJ definitely ran for that really nice spot there on the on the left-hand side of the board as you're looking at it. Second is going reverse side. That would have been red with Robert. Robert's playing the red pieces. Jumped on the 6-9-11.
Right.
So orange and wood to start the game. Shiv, who is Shiv is playing blue. Scott Scribner in the orange with the orange pieces went right next door to him there with the 11-4-8, the
Yep.
sheep grain wood there at the center of the board. And blue is currently putting out his placements now. We guessed one of them right off the bat, which was the 8-10-11 there to the right of the board. So good grain and one of the remaining really good wood production spots. His second placement, interestingly enough, with 2 of the other resources he didn't have. So he's on the 9-4 ore there at the top of the board at about 11 o'clock, or about 10-11 o'clock as you're looking at it. So we're ordered. Orange is up to put the second on the board, and that.
Yeah.
Is there anything particular about how this game was placed at the outset that you'd like to speak to?
I have to say I'm a little surprised with Blue's second placement. We had not predicted that he would go for the 9-4. I think we had thought he might go for the double brick somewhere in there.
The tempting spots were the 6-9 or the 6-5, which would then allow him to build to the 3-1 port at 12 o'clock on your screen.
Yeah.
To potentially get a monopoly from the brick standpoint,
Right.
and yet still give him the ability to build roads, establish longest road with that, along with the 6-8 combination of wheat and clay.
Yeah.
I can understand the 9-4 placement. It does allow him a little more as far as resources is concerned.
Right.
And this sort of will necessarily pitch him into, okay, this is boom or bust from that standpoint. I do have flexibility,
Right.
I do have options.
Right.
I think you've got a situation where, because that brick at the top, that's everything is there behind that desert. Those are already kind of unattractive spots.
Yeah.
And when you're placing in Catan, friendly placement, you can be 2 away from everybody else, or oftentimes if you really you're going to put 3 away, meaning that there's going to be extra space that people can't build in, can't put those settlements down. So if he had gone on that 9-6 brick there, 1 spot away, not only would he have gotten the double brick, but he would have prevented anyone else playing along that corridor, and I think it would have made it even less attractive for someone else to take brick. So rather than do the monopoly brick, he's going for the diversification of resources. So we'll see how that plays out. I think we just had our 6th placement go down.
Yeah. And in that vein,
MJ is placed on the 9-4 about 6:30 on your clock.
Pointing at it there.
Exactly.
As a result, he'll gather 2 grain and 1 wool to start the game.
Yeah. And
So we should have 7 settlements on the board, and we should
and
go
we're
back
waiting,
to Robert.
and we're waiting
in
for
red.
Robert. Yeah.
When
and
we
this
have his placement, we'll actually start the dice rolling, and the game will go on.
which tells you actually Robert was the first to place.
And then now I
yeah.
see a nice
Yeah.
6-5 that he could
Okay.
potentially grab some play from.
So Shiv's gamble may pay off here because with one more placement, it's still wide open up there, and he's, well accessible to all that brick still. He's one of the 2 that will dominate the brick as we move forward.
Can't be making bets too fast.
Yeah. Well,
I've seen this game turn.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Quickly.
And with very, very savvy players, these guys are all really experienced championship players. In that vein, Shiv might have felt okay by taking that heavy brick position and trying to dominate the early trade. With these 3 very savvy players, they might not trade with him quite the same way. And he, with that lack of diversity, it would be sort of an all or nothing play. Might be disaster as it went on down.
That said, because of the scarcity of brick in this game, it's going to be really critical for these people to find a harbor to work with.
Yeah.
You're really going to be relying right now on only 1 player and on 9s to introduce brick into the economy of the game. So, and there we go. We're going to have 2 players with complete no access to brick whatsoever. So
this is going to be a slow.
It's going to be actually, because we know in order to get to one of those harbors, they're going to have at least 2 brick to get their second road and their supplement down. So,
for those who know less about the game, who are watching, can you maybe give a high-level explanation of what that means?
So what you're looking at, of course, for those that have never played Catan before, you're looking at an island made up of a series of hexagonal land masses, and those lands all produce a different kind of resource. There are 5 of them in the game. There is ore, brick, sheep, grain, and wood is the one I haven't, yes. I'm running down the side of the resources there on the one side. So 5 different resources that you'll be using throughout the game, and the numbers represent rolling 2 6-sided dice, and at the beginning of every turn, when 2 6-sided dice are rolled, anyone that has a building touching one of the land masses with that number will receive the resource that is associated with that land. So for example, if an 8 were to be rolled right now on this board, the red and the orange player would both receive a sheep from that center 8 hex, and the orange player and the blue player would both receive a wood resource from the 8 hex on the right-hand side of the board. After that, there are things you can build or acquire with those resources. Roads allow you to expand outward from your starting position and are important in order to be able to build more buildings. Settlements are the basic building in the game. You'll build one of those on an intersection of hex points. They're worth 1 victory point towards the 10 you need to win the game, and provide more opportunities for resource and resource collection. Those resources can be upgraded for the price of 3 ore resources and 2 grain resources to become a city. Cities are worth 2 victory points and produce double. So you get 2 resources when that land that they're next to is rolled. And finally, there are development cards in the game. They have a variety of effects. One of their primary purposes is to provide players with knights, which allow you to move the robber. When a 7 is rolled, you'll know there are no 7s on the board. The robber comes into play. Whoever rolls the 7 will move the robber to a new land area on the board, blocking that land's production and stealing a card from someone that has a building next to that. It also means that if you're hoarding resources in this game, when that 7 is rolled, you're going to lose. If you have 8 or more in your hand, them rounded down.
I might note, to interject here, we did have a 7 roll on the second roll. Okay, Robert, he moved the robber, and he took a card from our blue player, from Shiv. This is white. This would have been MJ. and he stole the only brick that was out there. That's why he in fact stole it from MJ and built a road to cut MJ off right to start the game. So early out,
very,
that robber's
friendly way to start.
Yeah. So MJ lost not only the only brick, at the start of the game, but actually lost his road to the sea. Yeah, as a result of that robber. So that was a pretty big robber.
There are always two strategies of placing the robber. Are you going to slow down the lead, or are you going to try and acquire a resource that you need? So it made absolute perfect sense. There's only one that has that critical brick. You went after it.
Right.
Very good.
And got the jugular, I might add.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yep, had a couple of chances and got the right card.
Exactly.
Is that? I mean, that's a bit rough at the outset, because I know, this being a very social game, negotiation being very, very important. You want to start like that?
Well, given this set, like we've said, it is absolutely board position and getting out to those harbors are going to be a huge part of this game, because the only way those other three players are going to get brick are either by giving Sweetheart, basically Blue, getting wonderful trading with, for the brick, whatever extra brick he has, which is not going to be a lot, or by getting out to a harbor and converting the resources they do get to. If you're going to do a gambit to go after a player, that worked out about as good as you're going to hope for.
And Shiv did place aggressively toward MJ at the beginning there with that that 9-4 placement, and put himself into a position where he was crowding MJ, and MJ responded, and Shiv, I think, lost that gamble.
Well, Shiv did have the road in hand because
True, that's true.
Or rather, he would have had a road in hand at an 8 roll.
Yeah.
So, but since he's the only one that can get the clay or the brick, the chances of him losing it on a 7 roll were 1 in 3, and it turns out he lost it.
Yeah.
And that's really even the additional gamble that he took by taking the resources off of only 2 of them. Instead of having a 3-card hand and possibility of 1 in 3 of losing that card, it was a 50-50 shot.
Yeah.
You knew you were going to get an ore, you were going to get a brick.
Yeah.
So I think we can see already we've got a lot of development card action here.
And that's happened in the early stages in this game because of the scarcity of the clay.
Yeah.
People will be using their resources and actually probably even trading 3 resources for 1 of the 3 you need for a development card, because the development cards can be very powerful in this game, especially with this particular setup.
And here we have our first knight coming out, and with
repositioning the robber on the 4 clay hex.
Yep.
Or rather, mountain.
Yeah. I think Scott he didn't go for that 9 clay. Of course, that would cut off all clay production in the game at this point. So he wants to sort of slow down that development card action, and he's buying his 2nd development card.
Yeah.
Already. Wow. And
yeah, because the wool in this game is going to be relatively plentiful. And if you get enough of the grain rolls, now granted they're 3, 4, 11, and 10, not very plentiful, but there still are 4 hexes that will
But all
produce
4
them.
players grain, I think, correct?
yeah.
Yes.
So looking at what Shiv's doing, it's is it past the dice or what here? Nope. He's cobbled together a road, and this is a really important placement.
And he is going toward the wood port.
Yeah.
Or that's a 3 for 1 port there.
Yeah. And another 8 wood. And I think what
Right.
he's saying to everybody is, I'm going to get that brick down the line. I'm confident that I'm going to get that brick. Of course, now he's got to build 2 roads to get it, and that's the problem.
But the good news for him is that and no one's probably going to be able to beat him to that. At the very least, he's going to make that 9. He's going to make the 6 defense without problem.
Right.
And if he's got the opportunity, if he's not being threatened by orange, probably build right on over to the 6-5, just to really prevent anyone else from getting a source of brick.
Right. Because Scott's going to be tempted. That is, say, orange is going to be tempted to build out to that port on the 5-3 at the coast.
And I think that makes sense. You can get a decent brick source and get on a harbor and get a little ore,
exactly.
given how important the development card's going to be.
Yeah. But a lot of development card action here, so this can be a really interesting game in that context because, a lot of people's moves are now hidden, on the table.
I think I'd like to give you guys a break for a minute.
Okay.
Brandon.
So, in that vein, we pointed out, and when you buy a development card, you can't play it on the same term, right? Yeah. Okay.
Keep going, guys.
So yeah, we are because development cards are going to be so plentiful in this game. We're going to see a lot of them get purchased, and of course you can only play one per turn, and not on the turn that you buy them. So it's really going to be collecting them as fast as you can, and possibly hoarding them, making sure, especially that you don't want to get that robber sitting on you too long in the early game. At this point, it's going to be using them judiciously, but burning through that deck probably really fast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, guys, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back in just a moment.
All right. Great.
Why do you like Catan?
I think it's a really inventive game, and you got to think a lot. But it's easy to pick up.
Yeah, that's the thing, right?
Easy to pick up, hard to master.
Exactly,
She needs to get a city. Right now, she's got 5 settlements out there. That's all she can build. She's got to go for an upgrade right now.
Right, so she's really been focusing on her training.
Yes.
I used to play this game in college, so I never pulled an all-nighter to study, but for this game, I do.
It's been in print for 20 years now, 20th anniversary this year. It's still gaining momentum, still gaining steam.
It has multiple expansions, and they don't feel like they're just tacked onto the game. Each expansion seems to add like different elements and layers and new types of strategy.
I actually took Gina here as my apprentice just 6 months ago.
I've been playing for about a year and a half, 2 years, so.
I don't take any apprentices that don't have at least a year and a half underneath their belt, so Gina just made the cut.
It's a 2-year event for the World Championships, and what people are doing here today and what they do at our events across the country is they're qualifying to play in the Nationals here in the United States at Gen Con 2015 in Indianapolis.
This is the National Settlers of Catan qualifier in Orange County. We're about to start round 2.
And we are back at the, Catan National Championships 2015. Stuff's been going on even the 2 minutes that we went away.
Lots of 11s getting rolled, so it's being flooded with wood and grain, and 2 roads.
Yeah.
2 big whopping, which pretty much corresponds to the 2 pieces of brick that have come into the game.
And a ton of development cards. So, they're building up, and a lot's going to happen as these nights get played, or as progress cards get played down the line. Maybe some victory points already hidden, on the table.
And the longer a development card stays on the table, the more likely you're to figure out it's a victory point card,
right,
and need to plan accordingly.
And so what does that mean precisely? How do they plan accordingly?
Well, they have to work on the assumption that you have 1 extra point than what they see on the board.
Right.
So that will adjust trade opportunities appropriately.
Right.
If he thinks you're that close or within striking distance of winning the game, trade gets shut off.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So, you may see that guy with a couple of down cards as the leader, even though, on the island itself, he doesn't have so many settlements or whatever. He may well have a couple of, one or more victory
our
point
first
cards.
settlement.
There we go. And A nice port. A nice port. Yeah, exactly.
So Alex, you are.
And we have doubled. We have actually doubled our brick production in this game.
Yes.
Okay, so.
Alex, you and I have done this before.
Yeah.
Last time we did this was at the World Championships in Berlin.
In Berlin, yeah.
We had a great time.
It was a great opportunity. It was a great event. It was wonderful. Remember we had, was it 42 countries, I think, represented, or something in that neighborhood?
Something around that realm.
Wonderful, wonderful experience. We were at the Museum of Communication in Berlin. Wonderful setting. Our partners at Cosmos
That's right.
were our hosts, and was a
the
birthplace
of Catan. We
Indeed.
had Klaus Teuber, the creator, there as well. You want to tell our audience right now a little bit about about Klaus and the creation of this wonderful game that we've all come to love?
I certainly can. I'm actually going to be even better because he was there for most of it. So.
Well, yeah. So Klaus is one of our partners in Mayfair Games. Klaus Teuber, who lives outside of Darmstadt in Germany.
Yep.
He's been a game designer for a very long time. Since youth, has loved to tinker with game design. Eventually produced some professional designs, won some Games of the Year awards. A great game designer. Was by his wife to make a game for the whole family, for their family, the Teuber family, and he created, over the course of a year or two, working with the family as his developers, including his young son Benny and his daughter Larissa and his older son Guido, and Claudia, his wife, created Catan. And once Claudia was satisfied with it, once she was happy with that design, we had the game that we have now. And originally, he had started with a story, and that story was one of curiosity and adventure and discovery. He had spent in his youth time with his grandfather, going to Iceland, and he'd always dreamed of going to the Azores, and he had always read books about the Vikings and the like. So inspired by all that, he created this wonderful story and this brilliant game. And this would have been 1995 when it was finally, and a partner of his, Rainer Muller, embraced it and brought it to Cosmos, and they published it. And right away it was Game of the Year, and right away it became the most popular game ever designed in Germany.
And this was in 1995.
This would have been 1995. And then we, the crew at Mayfair Games, discovered it that year at Essen through about a gazillion friends who all came back from Essen saying, we had a lot of fun at Essen, played a lot of games, but there was this one game.
Right.
And you gotta play it. And we realized pretty quickly that we had to have it. And we've been very blessed ever since by being able to publish it and play not only with each other but with literally millions of other people. So it's been great.
I mean, I'm curious if you were particularly. Yes. It is a much beloved game by many, but also a little while ago when you were telling me sort of your history and how you've grown up. You grew up all over the world, and I'm wondering if your connection to the game, somehow enhanced because of Klaus's similar backgrounds.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was a military brat. When I was young, I lived in Germany in Wiesbaden. Yep. Wiesbaden is about 30 miles from Darmstadt, and actually the little town of Rossdorf where Klaus lives, just across the Main River Valley. We were as young, that many years apart, and Klaus was actually shopping for toys in some of the same toy shops I was, and certainly playing with the same little, soldiers and dreaming, in many of the same castles and the like. So, when I first encountered Catan, having been to Germany many times since professionally, going to the Frankfurt Book Fair and the Essen Game Fair and the like, it just resonated with me. And of course, when I first met Klaus, oddly enough, in New Orleans, some few years later, we just became kindred souls. We knew we'd be friends for life. And then he invited me over. I ended up riding bikes with him in the Odenwald area, which is around Rossdorf, the beautiful wooded hills around Rossdorf and Darmstadt. It's been a crusade ever since together.
Very cool. I love one of my favorite stories. So he was a dentist, right?
Well,
and from molds he created.
yeah, actually his
his
family company, his father's company, and the company he inherited was a company where they actually built teeth and applications and sculpted these things. And of course, this was easy for Klaus because he's a great sculptor. And of course, he's always loved making things, so he makes game bits and the likes, and sometimes builds games around those. So, yeah, it was a nice segue for him. You know.
Interesting, for sure.
Yeah, he's a very creative guy, and
very cool.
And we're
Anything
pretty
new
blessed.
happening here?
Everyone's just racing out to the coastline. We can see that Orange has got his 3-to-1 harbor now going up there. As predicted, got out there on some brick, so he's got a brick and that's a 3-to-1 out there on the side at 2 o'clock.
No, that looks to be a port for a specific source.
Yeah.
Is that the clay one?
No, I think that's a wool port.
Or is that the wood
I think
port?
that's a wool port. I think that actually may be the sheep. Yeah, I think that.
So it's not bad. He's on 2 of them. One of
yeah.
them's an 8, so that lets him burn off a little extra sheep, which may become important late in the game if the development cards continue to knock out the way they do. Sheep will quickly become a less person. That's a great way to convert them.
Exactly. And of course, it's a gateway along the coast to some more brick. And if he can now parlay that 5 brick into some roads, because he has that 8, you know, he may well be able to do that.
Bill, I'd like to hear from you a little bit as well, and in terms of how you came to this world.
Well, from a Catan standpoint, Pete's 1995 rang a bell because I was well associated with Mayfair Games at the time.
Okay.
And the president had handed to me a copy of Settlers of Catan and asked me to evaluate the game and give me my impression on whether or not Mayfair should actually pursue this game.
Right. Was any good?
So my first challenge there was, after opening the game, is that to find rules that were in English.
Okay.
Because it was in German.
Right.
Now, today in 2015, all you need to do is punch a button on the internet and you can get rules for the game.
Right.
20 years ago, that was a little more of a challenge.
You needed to go find a person to translate.
Right. Fortunately, the internet was in its infancy at that time, and I was able to secure a copy of English rules for the game. Played and then played another.
Okay.
And then played another. And then played another. And then played another. And then played one more. We played a half a dozen games that evening.
Oh, wow.
My first phone call the next day was to the president of Mayfair. I said, do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Get a hold of this game. It's marvelous. And here we are today, 20 years later, still going strong.
Very
good
cool.
Advice. Good advice, and I'm glad Mayfair has it. Although I have to say, at the time I was with another company, and we wanted that game as well. And Bill's advice that for quite some time.
It really tipped the scales, didn't it?
Yeah, it made it. In fact, I had to go quickly get associated with to get with Catan, as they say. Yeah. But you do bring up a good thing about replay value. Yeah.
So Blue's got his harbor up and working now. So right now our red player Robert is the only person that doesn't have access to a harbor location at the moment, and he's still a ways away. He's going to need at least one more road. He's actually on a coastal spot right now, so he could build there. Well, he could build there, but he's not going to. He is going to have to get at least one more road down in order to get into one of those harbor positions there at about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock on the board.
And the emphasis on harbors in this game is much more important in a World Championship game, simply because the other players are not going to trust you.
They're not going to.
And there's going to be much less over-the-board trading in this game as you would in a family setting.
Right, we're obviously hammering home the themes of the brick scarcity and whatnot, but in general, as the higher you get up, players are able to evaluate the board. Players are able to track the cards that you have. they generally know what you've got in your hand. They generally know what kind of production is going to happen. And trades are really a last resort. If you can't do it yourself in order to not, to simply benefit yourself, a trade is always going to be a little bit of a win-win. You're always going to be getting something you need. They're going to be getting something they need. And perhaps that's fine, for 2 players instead of 4 players, but it's ideally you'd rather have only 1 player getting an advantage than 2.
And with that, break.
Okay.
And we'll be back in 2.
I was going to say, that was right at the moment of the big harbor trade that he was doing with all his wool port, and that's how he made this big break. Look what he just did.
And what color is this?
So while
orange
has
yeah,
orange. So what Scott did, because he's got a wool
Something to talk about when we get back.
Because Scott's got a wool port, he just traded a bunch of wool.
Oh, is this Axel? Yeah. The man with the plan. Axel.
Each one of his turns is going to the full 45 seconds. Dude, you have 2 mana. How much do you have to think about? I don't see a way for him to win this. RNG, RNG, RNG! RNG!
Wow, look at that. Got the bear. The strong bear. Flame Walker carry. Oh, here we go! Oh.
Your favorite card sucks.
Hey, I mean, it's not mine.
Ouch!
Son of a monkey.
I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh back then, a long time ago, but
so he did have the heart of the cards. I told you this.
Yeah, that card decking was real.
We were observing, so you did carry that skill over.
Your inner Egyptian god was just like, yes.
I had to think of it before.
Well, it's Shiv's gamble.
Okay, and we are back. So we broke, stuff was happening. What happened?
Absolutely. So that Scott has basically traded a bunch of sheep to his harbor there, and knocked out 2 roads and a settlement there along the northern edge of the island. So he has expanded out to that 6-5 brick spot.
Wow.
Huge production. It's gonna mean that, and even we were about to mention is the idea of misdirection. Players are always going to gravitate towards what they think is going to be a harmful place to put the robber, and so you have that pair of settlements around that 5 there. People are going to want to steal brick. They're going to be putting the robber up there, which means they're not going to be putting it on his 8 sheep, which is where he's actually getting his big flexible production.
Right.
So that's actually a nice part, not only to have this great new source of brick, but to get the robber perhaps off of the more important hex for him, which is that 8th sheep.
Very good point. Very good point. And that is the dominant sheep point in the game, and he's got that sheep port. You're right. Yeah. So once again, it looks like Red Robert is still looking for that 3rd settlement, right?
Yeah, unfortunately for him, the game is starting to run away, and hopefully, it's not to say that the numbers can't come up and he's going to be able to get something, but my guess is that Scott's going to start bringing in some brick, and he will start trading with that, and Red will be a wonderful candidate for him to trade with, because Red needs the brick in order to get expanded quickly, and Scott will be the beneficiary of all of that trading. So.
Right. So do you think he's going to build, Bill, you think he's going to build where he's built his road to at that 5-6 on the coast? Do you think he's going to hold off and go for a harbor?
He has to try to increase his production to get himself into this game. So it's pretty much mandatory at this point he builds on that 5-6 and at 8:30 on your clock here.
Yeah, I think that's the way I'd go.
And then now we just had the robber move to the 5 hex and
just
as predicted.
Yeah.
I think Alex has seen a few games played.
You aren't orchestrating this game, are you? I hope.
No.
Okay.
I do have $500 with a Las Vegas bookie, so we'll see how that goes.
All right. I hope you weren't wearing that shirt when you made that bet.
No.
Can I get in on that bet?
It'll be interesting because I think Orange's best bet right now is just to continue, basically double down on what he's got going. If he can get up, he's got the sheep harbor there at 2 o'clock. If he can get on that 3-1 north, which would give him an additional 6 production on that brick, he can start cranking the brick out on that 3-1 port as well, and it would be playing the solo game. It would be really at that point having enough numbers and enough production that it's going to be up to the other players to slow him down, either through hammering him with knights or just hoping that their numbers come up and fence him in the rest of the way.
And here's a key as well for the orange player, who is Scott, is that he's going to be the first to grab the longest road, because everybody else is pretty scattered as far as their road building is concerned. So on the surface, it doesn't look like right now he has much of a challenge to that as well, and that's 2 important points in this game.
And with him controlling brick, one of the 2 ingredients you need for roads, that really sets him up well.
No, I don't feel like we finished your story entirely, because I think we left off walk, don't run.
Walk, don't run.
No, run, don't walk. And you must acquire this game.
Mayfair did pick up the U.S. rights to Settlers of Catan at that
right.
And it's been a great journey ever since.
Right.
But I might note we expanded those rights to global English rights.
Right.
And in fact, now we're the worldwide publisher of the English language Catan. So it's been, in that regard,
and this
a blessing.
Year, I'm gonna use that as the segue.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
For Worldwide Catan Day.
Yeah.
We did that, right?
Catan Day.
I was
absolutely.
in Nashville, and you were in.
And I was in India. Yes, I was in India.
A little different.
I actually missed Catan Day on its debut in Nashville, but no, actually Catan Day was a global day.
Right.
It is, in fact, going to become a global holiday, pretty much embraced by every culture.
Do I get the day off?
No. Actually, that's part of that whole holiday. The special thing about that holiday is it's the day that Bill works, the one day of the year that Bill works, and it's kind of cool, actually, if you think about it. But no, actually, Catan Day was focused certainly on Nashville, Tennessee, at the Opryland Hotel, where Catan Con was occurring, which was built around Catan Day. But celebrations everywhere, and we were celebrating up in northeastern India, having just completed the Catan rickshaw run across India.
Right, you were on rickshaws.
We were.
In India.
Team Catan, we had 10 Team Catan members. We had 4 from the Mayfair team, 4 Americans. We had 5 Germans, including 2 from Cosmos and 3 from Catan GmbH.
Right.
Led by Benny Teuber, Klaus's son. And then we had, in addition to that, Charlie, who was our French videographer, who now lives in London. So basically the team was me, my wife Olivia, Ron Megan, who's our Catan product manager, his wife Kathy, who's an Irish American, Benny, Mario, who was sort of our ambassador, Arn Beenan, who's our Catan digital manager. Then we had Katja and Christian from Cosmos and Charlie. So it was 4 rickshaws, 3,000 kilometers. 3,000 kilometers across India, from starting in the desert near Pakistan and on the Silk Road town of Jaisalmer, and ending in the hills of Meghalaya in the town of Shillong, which is an area of beautiful tea plantations and rugged terrain and wonderful mountain lakes, known as the Scotland of the East, and that's just north of Burma and east and north of Bangladesh.
How long did it take you guys?
It was 15 days to cross India on these 8 horsepower motorized rickshaws.
Right.
Yeah, but we were, we had a wonderful mission. We were supporting 2 charities. We had Cool Earth, which was a forest initiative, and Global Forest Initiative, and then Child Aid, which builds schools all over South Asia and East Asia, and specializing in areas where there are displaced tribal populations or populations of folks that don't get government support. So it was a very noble cause, and we're very proud that Team Catan could do that.
You guys have made fire great with this. I mean, we've had 2 charity events since we've been here at Gen Con.
Indeed, indeed. Yeah.
We're really spreading it around.
We did a version 2 years ago. We set a Guinness World Record for a number of people playing Catan with 922 players.
The big game.
The big game, and we did a version of that this year on Friday night here at Gen Con for 444 players, all of whom were contributing to the charity that Gen Con had chosen this year, the Julian Center, which services distressed families, troubled and abused families here in the Indianapolis region. And so we had the Friday night event that supported that. We also had an event last night for another one of our games, the Star Trek 5-year mission, one of our games that we premiered here at the show. $1,000 for the charity. So it's always a very important part of what we do here at Gen Con, is to provide back to the community that's hosting through some form of charitable giving.
You guys do a wonderful, wonderful job at that, truly.
Well, we've been really blessed, and it's good to give back, whenever you can.
I agree.
We have the resources.
Indeed.
We
It's
have
all
a lot
about the resources.
So I did have one question for Bill. That's a speculative question, but you played a lot of Catan. You're, a dangerous player, very dangerous player. And would you say that of all of the harbors, that the Wool Harbor is going to be the loudest? I mean, if you're in that harbor area, would that be the loudest of the harbors, you think?
Well, I guess it depends on whether or not you're loading the brick at the clay harbor, or tossing around wood at the wood harbor.
Okay, all right.
Or banging together ore at the ore harbor.
And I guess it would depend a little bit on
or shuffling wheat at the wheat harbor.
Okay.
So I think volume speaks loudly whatever harbor you may be.
And I guess if the sheep are well fed, that would also affect things a little bit. Well-fed sheep, I think, are quieter sheep, if I'm correct.
Well, it depends on whether or not they're bleeding.
Okay.
After all of that scintillating commentary, we will mention that hasn't been a lot of change on the board, but one thing to keep an eye on that you can see around the edges of the board are the number of knights that players have got down in front of them. So we can see we've got a pair of knights in the 2 opposite sides there, with Scott and Robert. So they're the 2 that are right now kind of angling for the possibility of being the first to claim largest army. Again, really keep an eye on Orange if that ends up being the case, where he's got a shot at both largest army and longest road as part of that set. He's already got 3 points showing on the board. That would be another 2 and another 2, up to 7. And 7 shooting distance at this level. When you're in the World Championships, anybody that's sitting at about 6 points or more can always make that big play. A couple of cities, flip over a couple of development card victory points, and you're there. So we have solidly entered the mid game, but right now there's going to be a positioning for largest army and longest road, and that's probably the next interesting battle we're going to keep an eye on here.
And that's great. And with that, we're going to take another super fast break, and we're going to give everybody at home a look at what's been happening at Gen Con since we got here a couple days ago. We'll be back in a minute.
Come closer. You need to smile.
Outside the box, yeah, absolutely.
Now, clearly,
Okay, guys, we are back.
Okay.
Gen Con 2015 live national championship. What's going on?
Oh, Scott, he's playing a lot of cards there. Look at that. Look at that.
What do we have? 2 roads and a settlement.
Exactly.
Yep.
And
there we go.
and there
There's
we
his
go.
3-1, and
Bang,
there's
bang,
another
bang.
one on the 6.
And longest road.
Longest road.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that was
So-
that's a 3-point play for him right there.
All
So
right,
we do
so-
the count on the board. 1, 2, 3,
He's got
4, 5 points. Oh, yeah, it's all
got-
on the board.
And the longest road, he's got 7
7 points.
Yeah.
3 away from victory.
Yeah.
And again, and he, right now he's got a shot at largest army as well. He's got two knights down, so another knight. He's at 9,
Yeah.
and then all he has to do is upgrade the city, and he's the one that's getting the by far the most resources out of the board right now. So it could be this could be a runaway.
And interestingly enough, you know
We've
that.
seen that before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
yes, there's absolutely a big question mark at this point, because obviously the other players right now, there's no trading going on with Scott. There will be no advantages. The robber will be finding its way to Scott's territory as often as possible. So they're desperate to slow him down at this point, but he's got quite the engine, at least at this stage of the game.
And Shiv might even be looking, for more roads from these other 2 guys just to break that longest road. And it's a tough call. He's the only guy that can do it. Okay.
He's starting his run towards it.
Okay. And he has 4 settlements now, and a little bit of production.
And
the
Robert's,
winner-
I'm sorry.
So, no, it's fine. So again, this is the national championship, and the next world event is when?
Is next year.
That's right.
Next year, 2016. We are about to, we're very close to being able to announce where that will be, but it will be in the U.S. The
Okay.
winner of this game is the first of our 2 qualifiers. So we have the winner from this event that will be the U.S. champion for 2015.
Right.
They will have their ticket punched through to the Worlds. And then next year we'll have a second U.S. qualifier that will, again, the winner of that U.S. National Championship will move on and be our second U.S. representative at the Worlds.
Right. Vinny Bonta and Matt Pierce,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's how that.
And incidentally, since you guys were in Berlin, what countries were represented in the finals in that last World Championship, and who won?
Latvia, Japan. Oh, the finals.
The finals.
Right, okay. Because I'm thinking about the entire event.
Yes.
Well, out of those 42
If you
countries.
could name all 42, that would have been really
even
impressive.
better.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say.
Yeah.
I can barely, I remember I had beer there.
Yeah. Never.
I mean, it's definitely Latvia, Japan.
Yep. Latvia, Japan. Did we have? We had one of the German, was it German or Austrian? Not I know it wasn't a repeat Austrian, but.
You're really putting us on the spot, Pete.
I'm so sorry. This was a test. It was a quiz. Maybe we should move back to the game itself.
Yeah.
I'm
The
so
one that's
sorry.
happening now.
I'm sorry.
Very good player.
But they were 4 guys from 4 different countries,
Yes.
and that's the whole point of this thing, is that the World Championship really is an amazing gathering. People from all over the world that share the love of the Catan community, and frankly, it's a really, really special time for everybody.
It was amazing. I mean, it really was an amazing time, and I am fumbling for which countries were at the
That's
final
okay.
table, because I'm so amazed by all the representatives from all over the world.
So, what do you think, Bill?
we're going to see some jockeying here, especially when it comes down to the largest army card. I expect that to dance around the table, but I don't expect that to dance around the table right away. I would expect people, as they're purchasing development cards, like one being purchased right now by Scott, he's probably going to hold that so that he can do a 2-point, or at least attempt a 2-point swing between himself and another player to give himself a victory.
Yeah, and right now the robber's not on him, so he has no reason to play that night. Sam, while let himself represent as if he has 7, and make the move later.
And it's entirely possible that he's drawn a victory point card here as well, and the other players need to worry about that.
He'll need 1 more point if he does get largest army. So
okay, so
right now the person who's probably the most frustrated at the table is Red. Robert had a slow start to the game, but in order to try and have a chance to stop Scott with that longest road, unfortunately Blue had to drop that settlement right in front of Red's only really clear way of being able to connect, for example, either both of his settlements together or reach the coast and get to those harbors easily. Obviously, he still has harbor spots over there to the left side of the board, but boy, I'm guessing Red would rather have had that settlement where the Blue settlement is to be able to expand outward down into some wood and grain.
Yeah, he is completely boxed off in the center of the table, in the center of the island. And
at this point in the game, Red has next to no, if pretty much no chance of winning at this point.
Yeah, great. I mean, his one saving grace is he is on a very good wheat. He's on a very good sheep and a very good, which means at least he can keep diving into that development card deck. Get a couple of those, get some cities up, because again, he's got grain in there as well, so he can supplement what he is getting from other players' trades because he's a non-threatening player. And it's not to say that those 2 points in settlements becomes 4 points in cities. Get another settlement and city out, because at least he does have still a couple of building sites he can work with, and he could be back in it. The dice are going to have to help him a little bit, but again, even being blocked off as much as he is, there's still a path to victory for him.
In order to have him, give him an outside chance to win this game, he will need to establish that settlement on the 6-5 on the left side of the board.
Yeah, he's going to have to get out there.
He needs to be there for at least a foundation of 6 points with 3 cities.
And he's going to have to be the guy with the largest army.
Exactly, and that's how he gets 2 of the points, and potentially 2 of the points, another 2 points from victory point cards from the
and that would slow Scott down a little bit.
It's been really cool since Oomba has been hanging out with you guys. A lot of good stuff has been, we've seen, in the immediate, so many, you guys are getting a lot of attention, extra attention from Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're going to make a movie, basically.
Well, we've optioned the film rights, Catan GBH has optioned the film rights to Gail Katz, who's a great filmmaker and actually storyteller. She's done a lot in film and television. She's probably best known for The Perfect Storm and Independence Day, but has done a lot of really excellent quality work. And there will be a story out there soon on some screen, but it'll be a great story, well told, and it's likely to be in the form of a television series before a movie. But you never know. It's really all about the story. So we're right now looking at that and looking at writers and the like. Of course, it's ultimately Klaus's story. So. We're excited about that, and as Catan, has sort of clawed its way into the fabric of our culture, the time is about right. We're getting
It's
there.
great, because there was that news, and then there was the article that was concurrently in the Wall Street Journal and Sports Illustrated that the Green Bay Packers
play
this during halftime.
Well, actually, they were playing during at times before. Well, almost always before the game, and And during the last two championship games before the Super Bowl, 3 of the 4 teams were playing Catan. So that was pretty cool.
Super cool.
Now we haven't gotten a report from the 4th team, so it's possible everybody was.
But yeah, certainly for the hometown hometown love. Andrew Luck has been out there as an avowed player who's the quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. So he is. So we definitely have many representatives in the NFL that are fans of the game.
Animal, we call him.
Hang on, you've got football, you've got the NFL, you've got Hollywood, and you guys all. I don't know you're aware of this too. You've also got Silicon Valley.
Oh yes.
Because Reid Hoffman,
very much,
who's the head of Greylock, is a huge Catan.
Absolutely.
And apparently this is the inside game amongst the venture capitalists.
We know what happens in the offices of Facebook. They're big fans of the game as well.
That's cool.
It really is. It's a wonderful. We even have reports. We know there are some companies that are using Catan as part of their interview process.
Really?
To be able. Well, it's again that the social interaction, the communication, all of that stuff are things that they're definitely skills, and this game brings out those skills.
Great. Okay, so we're gonna 1 second, please. We're gonna take a break. We're going to take a break. We'll be back. Everybody needs a few moments, and we'll be back in about 5 with the continuation of the final.
Why do you like Catan?
I mean, I think it's a really inventive game, and you got to think a lot. But it's easy to pick up.
Yeah, that's the thing,
Easy to pick up, hard to master.
Exactly. Yeah.
She needs to get a city. Right now, she's got 5 settlements out there. That's all she can build. She's got to go for an upgrade right now.
Right. So she needs to really be focusing on her training. Right?
Yes.
I used to stay up all night playing this game in college, so I never pulled an all-nighter to study, but for this game, I do.
It's been in print for 20 years now, 20th anniversary this year. It's still gaining momentum, still gaining steam.
It has multiple expansions, and they don't feel like they're just tacked onto the game. Each expansion seems to add like different elements and layers and new types of strategies.
I actually took Gina here as my apprentice just 6 months ago.
I've been playing for about a year and a half, 2 years, so.
I don't take any apprentices that don't have at least a year and a half underneath their belt, so Gina just made the cut.
It's a 2-year event for the World Championships, and what people are doing here today and what they do at our events across the country is they're qualifying nationals here in the United States at Gen Con 2015 in Indianapolis.
This is the National Settlers of Catan qualifier in Orange County. We're about to start round 2.
Oh, is this Axel? Yeah. The man with the plan.
I think the phone.
Axel.
Each one of his turns is going to the full 45 seconds. Yeah. Dude, you have 2 minutes you have to think about. I don't see a way for him to win this. RNG, RNG, RNG! Oh! RNG!
Oh. Wow, look at that. Got the bear. The strong bear. Flame Walker cares. Oh, here we go! Oh.
Your favorite card sucks.
Hey, I mean, it's not mine.
Oh! Ouch!
Oh!
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 monkey?
I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh back then, a long time ago, but
So he did have the heart of the cards. I told you guys.
Yeah, that hard decking was real.
We were observing, so you did carry that skill over.
Your inner Egyptian god was just like, yes.
I had to think of before.
There's a glimpse. It could be their last stand.
Everyone, we're almost ready to play Cones of Dunch, except, well, hang on a sec. I just need to get this bracket organized. Oh, 2 more people. So it's a triple elimination / double round robin style with a dual wild card. Hang on 1 minute here. We're gonna start live streaming in a second. Can I maybe get a hand over here? It's tournament time?
What's the matter, friend?
Why isn't there an easy way to run a tournament? I give up.
Well, listen, before you toss your cone, that was something?
Yeah, I guess.
Wonderful. It's this way. Welcome to my tournament. You could have this many people too, you know?
I'd need an army to register that many people.
Army? Oh, no. Everyone here registered themselves from their own phones. Anyone can check the score at any time.
Okay. I'm one guy. I can't organize this many people. The sheer number need. Dang. How could you ever find the time to enter all this data?
It's automatic. The live streaming, too.
How?
Oomba.
Oh, God bless you.
No, Oomba. They give me everything I need to run tournaments like this. Big or small. Thursday night Catan, Saturday it's cricket, Sunday cheerleading.
All with Oomba? Let's do this. Awesome. Sweet. Oh, man. Radical. What? It's tournament time! And roll!
Oomba, of course, is the premier tournament software and fully integrated media company on the planet.
Why do you like Catan?
I mean, I think it's a really inventive game, and you got to think a lot. But it's easy to pick up.
Yeah, that's the thing,
You know, easy to pick up, hard to master.
Exactly,
She needs to get a city. Right now, she's got 5 settlements out there. That's all she can build. She's got to go for an upgrade right now.
Right, so she needs to really be focusing on her trading.
Yes.
I used to stay up all night playing this game in college, so I never pulled an all-nighter to study, but for this game, I do.
Okay, hey guys, we are back. Gen Con 2015 live. Catan National Championships. What's going on now?
Well, a couple things we looked at while we were on break there. So we actually have a city on the board. And where was that?
Robert has the city on the 6911 hex in the lower left corner there. So he'll be receiving double production from for the ore, the wood, and the wool if 6/9s and 11s are rolled.
Largest Army and Longest Road are both in play at the moment, as we talked about before. Scott is sitting in orange, is sitting with the Longest Road, though that's now being threatened a little bit by blue, but still in Scott's possession. Robert in red is our largest Army person for the moment. He has a couple face-down development cards, has 4 of them, but we're also keeping an eye on Scott there, since he's got a pile of knights in front of him as well.
It's been playing for like, what, about an hour or so? So this game, is that right? A little over an hour?
About an hour, yeah.
It's moving.
We're definitely in end game here.
It's been a fast-moving game.
And it should move as quickly from here on out. Again, great engine up. Right now, from what we can tell, based on what we've kind of seen here with the play, his next step is to try and get a city. It's going to give him more production. It's the 1 point he needs if he does get largest army to be able to jump to 10. So a city would be great. It would give him, especially if he put it there in the center of the board, so he can up his sheep and grain production in order to again get more development cards in order to support that strategy of trying to get back largest army.
Another possibility Scott in his position right now would be build 2 more roads around that 3 ore hex. Does 2 things. Number 1, it extends his longest road and helps him cement it. Number 2, it keeps blue from expanding his threatened longest road stretch. The idea is to hang on to it. If blue, who is Shiv in this game, manages to build around that 3 before Scott does with orange, then blue can stretch in both directions.
Which of course does mean that blue is spending a lot of resources right now to prevent orange from keeping longest road. And since blue is orange's competition on the other end of that road, it means blue is pouring a lot of resources into something that's not going to give him production. And orange can sit back and if that's the case, if the game's going to extend, orange is the one that's building up the actual resource production engine to be able to take advantage of that in the end game.
Right.
So even that's playing a little bit into Scott's game.
Although white, MJ is helping Shiv on the other side with his road. He's closing that road up north, up on the upper left-hand side of the board. So it's if Shiv can grab the road, as Bill said, he'll likely keep it.
And again, this year the winner from this.
I was about to say, Bill just predicted this move. Bill just spot on predicted that Shiv would come up around that 3 mountain, that 3 ore hex.
And the settlement he placed is not as important from a production standpoint, but it is a point towards your 10 that you need.
Right.
But just think about how much blue would have much rather built those roads on the other end of the line and gotten himself, it's a different production. But again, he's forced to do that in order to make sure that he's preventing Scott from being able to stretch that road out. So.
Right. And actually, he has snagged longest road.
Yes.
In the course of doing that.
Did that exchange 2 for 6 versus 2 for 6?
Okay, no, I take that back.
So it is a tie.
It is a tie. So
Scott's retaining the longest road at this point in time. Yeah. However, if one more blue road extends that 6th line that Shiv has, then he will take it from Scott.
And that does then mean Scott's got to be building a road or 2. Otherwise, he's closed out altogether. He's going to have to swing around that brick X real fast.
He now needs to, exactly where he just pointed, right that spot right there, he needs to be able to swing a couple of roads around there so that he can serpentine the roads back along the 653 line so that he can maintain that. So the other players in the game are not rolling over and playing dead at this point. They're going to be fighting tooth and nail.
One of the things you always, again, we talked a little bit about at the beginning of the broadcast, the idea of being 2 away versus 3 away. And being 2 away means that you're going to have a tighter blend of settlements going onto the board. If you look at that road, Orange is actually, if he can come back around and starts building along those deserts, one of the things you have to be careful if you're building a lot of roads is that someone's going to come along and intersect, is going to place a settlement in the between 2 roads that you've built at a legal intersection, of course, meeting all the other requirements. That actually cuts your longest road if that happens. But if you look at that whole run along there, the way Scott's got those settlements set up, there are no valid building spots along that desert hex there until you get all the way to the far side of that thing. So anywhere along that 6 or along those brick hexes, he's safe to build and knows that even if he doesn't put a settlement out there to protect it, they're safe. No one's going to be able to swoop in and drop a settlement in its place. So if he can cut around that corner, he's got then a nice run of 3 or 4 road segments that he can build that he won't have to worry about anyone interfering with.
Of course, that means that he's spending all his energy on building roads and not cities, and he has to build a city if he's ever going to build another settlement. So this is a problem.
Once you have 5 settlements on the board, you have to build another city in order to build it again.
And so, yeah, by Shiv pressuring him with the road, everybody's a little bit back in the game. And that's good.
Interesting.
Now, what's MJ doing here? Because we haven't talked much about MJ.
Well, I think he's playing the quiet game. Remember that he started the game. He had first placement, so he's got that really nice little block there up there at about 9:30 or so. That sheep or wood. Bang! He's got himself his harbor up and working there. He's also got that network down about 6 o'clock on the board right now. And he's got some room to expand there now. Now, he's not probably going to be fighting for longest road or anything, but he does have a lot of pretty good building sites available left to him there. So if the Scott fight continues for any length of time, White can simply lay back a little bit, build up his engine, and be ready to go for an endgame run.
Well, he does have 5 road segments, which is, and with opportunity to extend it if he can get around those hills, that clay area up on that 9. And
is going on between these guys right now.
Not much.
And look what happened. Look what happened there. There goes Scott.
There are the 2 orange to start wrapping around and to maintain the longest road. That was just basically at that point in time. And of course, at this point, MJ's settlement build on the 5 at exactly 9 o'clock pretty much, I think, puts the dagger in Robert's position at this point in time. He is not able to build that 3rd settlement. He needs a road on top of it to be able to do that. And that's just a bit too much, too late, a little too late at this point in time.
Got to be frustrating for him. You get to the final and then just absolutely shut out.
Yeah. But you're playing 3 champions.
It is, exactly. You're playing a person who's played in a world championship.
Yeah.
You're talking about, a couple people come out of some very large tournaments. These are world-class players, and
Does he have the chance to compete in the next world qualifier, or does this because he's competing here now? Does that disqualify him in any way?
Oh,
or
no,
he can just play it, he can do whatever he wants?
Absolutely. If whoever wins this game will be disqualified from playing in the 2016 tournament because they already have their ticket punched.
Yeah. And how do you guys determine where you hold your world qualifiers?
It's sort of we know it when we see it sort of thing. We really do try to pick someplace that has some sort of in the case of our sites, something uniquely American, ideally perhaps with some sort of historical thing, and of course it has the facilities and the ability for our international players to reach it easily and come in. The place that we have right now that will hopefully be the place that we do it at is going to be a beautiful piece of Americana.
I'm not pushing you.
I know. I may slip up and get it out of me, and that would be that. But I think it'd be a beautiful location. Certainly, it's going to be a cool view of America that a lot of the internationals probably won't have had before. And we're really excited once we do get to a chance to announce it. I think it will be a really nice perk for the people that are able to play in that.
It's sort of quintessentially American, because the last World Championship that we hosted here in the United States was near Philadelphia, actually very close to Valley Forge, in a very historic inn there, an 18th century inn, and in an area right where the Revolutionary War was fought, where a lot of the the early colonial settlements were. So that it was great from the point of view of history. And I think now we're going to explore a different part of the United States, different part of America, give a uniquely different American flavor.
When do you announce?
We'll announce it this autumn, essentially. I think we can safely say that it'll be this autumn, yeah.
Very good. And then it alternates, correct, between the United States and Europe?
In Europe, yeah. Traditionally, it's been in Germany, simply because that's the home of Cosmos, who's our only licensed partner and the publisher of the non-English products. So, it was in Berlin, of course, as you guys spoke last time. And prior to that, it was in a castle along near the Danube down in southwestern Germany.
You guys pick the best locations, you really do.
We want this to be a special event. It should not just be, the first number of years that it was held at the Essen Spielfest, which at the time was the largest consumer game convention in the world. And it was a great place to do it because you'd have a lot of people, and it was a place where a lot of the game players were already attending. The decision was made a while back that we really wanted to separate it out from those gamer events. It really should be, it is an important enough event, it should stand on its own, and we should be able to give the players something a little above and beyond, rather than it being one thing amongst a variety of things they would do for a weekend. Make this the thing, make this a really special event for them.
And with that, we're going to take another quick break and give you guys
This
game may end on our break, but
that's been the pattern of the last couple of times.
That's right.
Yes. Yeah, we go to break and somebody wins. The biggest thing we need to know right now is Scott is the one who moved that robber last, and you can see. So it's at night again. So Scott's got another night down on the table. That's number one. And the fact that it's sitting.
We're still rolling, guys.
Oh, very
because
good.
you guys are still talking.
We're still talking. Well, there you go then. So
all right.
Really, Scott moving that robber had two purposes. Number one, obviously another night on the table, and by moving it, you can see what he's threatened by. So by moving the knight, you're always, by moving the robber, you're always curious. Okay, so where does he perceive that threat? Moved it right onto that wheat. So shut off Blue's wheat. So no more, trying to shut up down the development card and city building there. And so we're going to keep an eye on that robber over there.
And I think we're breaking now.
Everyone, we're almost ready to play Cones of Dunch, except, well, hang on a sec. I just need to get this bracket organized. Oh, two more people. So it's a triple elimination / double round robin style with a dual wild card. Hang on 1 minute here. We're gonna start live streaming in a second. Can I maybe get a hand over here? It's tournament time?
What's the matter, friend?
Why isn't there an easy way to run a tournament? I give up.
Well, listen, before you toss your cones, can you help me out with something?
Yeah, I guess.
Wonderful. It's this way. Welcome to my tournament. You could have this many people too,
I'd need an army to register that many people.
Army? Oh, no. Everyone here registered themselves from their own phones. Anyone can check the score at any time.
Okay. One guy. I can't organize this many people. The sheer number of seating charts I would need. Dang. How could you ever find the time to enter all this data?
It's automatic. The live streaming, too.
How?
Oomba.
Oh, God bless you.
No, Oomba. They give me everything I need to run tournaments like this. Big or small. Thursday night Catan, Saturday it's cricket, Sunday cards and cheerleading.
All with Oomba? Let's do this. Awesome. Sweet. Oh, man. Radical. What? It's tournament time. And roll.
And we are back. Catan National Championships live. Okay, what's going on?
Right now it's a race to cities.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We are. What that means is that as we go through the early part of the game, people are trying to claim as much territory as they can. You do that by building roads and building settlements in order to expand out and get that extra resource coming in. Problem is, you only got 5 of those. And once all 5 of them are on the board, you've got to actually build a city, which you swap out for a settlement on the board, and that gives you another city then, or another settlement rather, to place back onto the board. So right now there's been this rush to claim real estate by blue and by orange. As that's happened, you've really much just been focused on putting out a road, putting out a road, putting out a settlement, putting out a road, putting out a settlement.
Right.
But then suddenly you find yourself with 5 settlements, and suddenly your resource mix completely changes. So you need different resources to build a settlement, 2 of which you also need for roads. Suddenly, you need grain and you need ore, which you do not need for roads, and only 1 of which you need for your settlements. So not only does it change your game in what you're trying to build, it changes the game in the resources that are suddenly of value to you. So right now, everyone's been kind of fixated on the wood and the brick to be able to expand outward. But at some point, you've stopped being able to expand. You gotta now find yourself a source of grain and ore, most of which has been spent already in this game chasing development cards. So it's going to be interesting now. Everyone's trying to change gears, I think, to be able to get cities on the board. And as much as painful as it might be not to draw development cards, you know, at some point you have to realize if this game's going to go another half hour, if we're going to go into a longer end game than they're expecting, you better have resource production and, you know, rather than have another development card.
And to be clear, we are in the end game.
Oh, yeah.
We're definitely to the point where at least 1 and possibly 2 players could win on their turn right away.
Got it.
Now that going to that scramble though for cities, one of those resources, grain, looks a little choked off here.
Grain is choked off, especially for blue. But one of the key here is that you need 3 ore in order to build that city. Normally, it's going to a board setup like this is there's going to be lots of 2-for-1 and 3-for-1 exchanges for those leftover ore that you need. Because of the difficulty of getting ore, well, there's actually a 6 down in the lower left, but that's in the possession of Robert, and he's the one that's in 4th place right now. So he's not going to be letting that go for anything very inexpensive.
Right.
The fact that Scott moved that robber onto that wheat spot is really telling. That he absolutely has identified the resource that is the hot resource in the game right now. He can get that wheat by trading at his sheep or his 3-to-1 port, so he's in less of it because he's got a much higher production. He's less concerned about worrying about getting grain directly off the board, so let's shut it off for everybody else.
Yeah, and of course, if the robber wasn't there and that number was rolled, he'd actually receive 3.
Now we talked about White's stealth game. We can see that MJ just put down another settlement. So his position continues to expand outward. It's slow, but it's there. And again, if we get into a big sniping battle there between Shiv and Scott, and the game continues to extend, White continues to build a network that will serve him in the end game.
And he has another port.
Yes, exactly, he does. MJ is basically hoping now that the other 2 sort of get into a battle with and distract each other long enough so that he can start getting himself in contention here.
Slow each other down.
And he does have 3 resource ports up on it.
There's no question he's actually in a pretty good position right now. It's just whether the game will give him enough time to be able to take advantage of it.
And it is a challenge given Scott's position. He really is playing like a world champion. Very much like a world champion. As Alex said, he's really ahead of the game, especially with that robber placement.
Right.
Okay. So
and he is the only world champion seated.
I don't think he's a world champion. I think he was a U.S. champion who played in the Worlds in 2006.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, the only U.S. champion that we've had was in 2008 when we had it here at Gen Con.
You mean our only world champion?
The only U.S. world champion that we've ever had has been was 2008. But Scott is a perennial finalist. He's one of those excellent players. For everyone that decries the luck of Catan,
it's not a skill game, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It is in fact a skill game.
We see these people time and time again in these tournaments, and because they understand that dice rolling in this game is not a luck, it's not chaos or random.
Right.
What it is simple reward. You decide what numbers you're going to be on.
Right.
You have percentages that those numbers are going to pay out, and of course there's going to be a bell curve. But at some point one does have to trust mathematics, and mathematics will usually win in the end.
I remember, again in Berlin, the player from Latvia, I don't think it was in the semifinals, that guy sat there. Do you remember this?
Yes.
He sat there, he refused to roll, essentially.
Yes.
And he sat there and negotiated for or tried to negotiate for
Yeah,
10 minutes.
He was right on the cusp. He was right on the cusp, and he knew that the next player in line, the Latvian, was going to win. There was just no question about it. And you could look at that. He drew that 20 minutes of trying to find somebody to make a trade, two-way trade, three-way trade, anything that he thought to prevent those dice from hitting the table, because at some point you just know, that the percentage is there, that it's not going to come back around to me.
Yeah, but on the other hand, those are there are a couple of balancing points there, though. Trading, just the same, you can skew those probabilities in a big way. So if you're very savvy, social, you play the game well in the sense of staying under the radar, seeming harmless, whatever it may be, or just a plain, always maximizing those opportunities for trade. You can really offset a lot of that. The fact that you're behind the game as far as the probabilities go, and you can, sort of a little bit, and that's really, really critical. And in the case of our Latvian buddy, you never actually, sometimes you do when the game's going to go, but we've seen some phenomenal comebacks in this game, and I do remember in one World Championship, a swing where one guy in the course of a got 6 points to claim the World Championship. So it can happen.
One of my favorite stories I tell people, and illustrates another way that the game mitigates luck. We had a very good player, made it several finals, called Patrick Chen. And he got into a game, and it was one of those games where everybody at the table knew who he was and how good a player he was. And the first thing they did was slam off both of his settlements. So he literally had no place to build on the board outside of his initial 2 placements. And at that point, his game just completely changes. He has to be social, and of course that's a skill he has because he's a top-level Catan player. And he came back and won that game with 2 cities on the board. Army, that would be his 6 points, and 4 of the 5 victory point cards. He just went to the dev deck. So being able to change, you get those players that are like, I always go for longest road. Longest road is the key to the game. That's great, and you just told me how to beat you. You have to. Players, especially players that don't have a lot of experience, will get kind of fixated on that idea of I have to build this settlement next. I have to build this settlement next. Whereas a world-class player is going to be able to know when, okay, we have to shift gears now. We've been looking for settlements, not going to happen. Let's shift gears and start working on the dev deck. Let's start working on getting cities out. All of those things, there are multiple paths in this game, and you can't lock yourself into one path or another.
Yeah, adaptation is a good skill to have in a Catan game.
Complex game.
Absolutely.
So blue continues to run roads as we see. And just dropped a couple down there to try and get that going. I think we're up, and there goes the road. So
yes, he actually dropped 3 on that turn to take the longest road away.
So
that's and Scott's probably not too concerned about that. Again, Orange has 3 pieces he can put out immediately. And actually, as you look at this, not only does he have 3 pieces he can put out safely, if he wraps around that desert, he could actually come back and connect to his one out there and get the extra bonus road and connect up his initial starting settlement there that's sitting on that 8.
Yes, so there's absolutely no competition for that. He could drop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 roads. Yeah.
So frankly, knowing that, and even if he has those roads there, he may just want to stay a road or 2 behind, knowing that he can drop those, get those 2 points back at any time, and represent as having less points than he has with the actual shooting.
Which means people will trade with him,
exactly.
And that's a nice thing.
Yes.
It's a very nice thing.
See, I'm harmless now.
Exactly.
I'm so far behind.
Exactly.
You should want to trade my wheat.
That's right. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. It's, you know.
I'm no longer a threat, right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys, just quickly back to sort of general. You guys have just launched the 5th edition, correct?
We did. We did.
And what does that mean exactly?
So, well, it's after 2 years of work with Cosmos, the Catan GmbH guys. We have been working to sort of synergize the story and the presentation, the vision for Catan, and simplify it to the key core elements and represent it with some beautiful new art.
Right.
And so that's essentially what the 5th edition is all about. We've got all brand new art on the on the cards, on the board, on all the hexes. Beautiful art by Michael Menzel, who's an award-winning artist.
And is this that?
And actually, I think we're about to see a city here, right?
Yeah, Scott just dropped the city on the sheep or wood there at about 2:30 on the board there. So another victory point. He's got and again, wood right now may not be. Again, we would like wood for the road piece of it, but that's also with that 3-to-1 port. That's just another resource he can dump into the pool.
But the key here is now he's freed up a settlement.
Yes, he has.
But
he has freed up a settlement at this point.
But I might note that, as Alex pointed out, he isn't a pickle as far as settlement sites go, because.
Well, actually, it's right there where he can now
back
build that
there he goes.
Okay.
Bang, bang. Yeah. Okay.
He's not much of a pickle anymore.
Well, what happened was he backed off of the road, and that was the key point. That's how you solve that problem. Is not just keep building on that road and then instead he's come back on that and said, bag the longest road. I'm going to grab that site.
And of course, it's just 2 more road builds along the desert will bring the longest road back to him.
Yep.
And let's do a point count really quick on Orange. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
7 actually production for Orange, right?
Yes, that's actually that's 7 on the board.
Seven visible.
Yeah. And so that does bring into play the concept of you have victory points, but some of those produce. They're what we sort of like to call production victory points, which mean settlements and cities. And Orange has got everything in play there.
Very good.
He's producing a lot.
Yeah, we definitely every time in any. Wonderful to say that anybody can win, and there are certainly paths still for blue and white in particular to come back and win this game. But boy, if I had to trade places with him now, I'd be trading with Scott in a heartbeat.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
the orange position is clearly the best right now.
Yeah. And again, it might turn if we can start to see Shiv begin to be able to produce cities. But let's Shiv's got a bit of a challenge there.
I mean, basically, he would really like a lot of 10s and 11s. So.
Yeah.
Great. All right, guys. Then with that, we're going to take another quick break, and we will.
Why do you like Catan?
I mean, I think it's a game, and you got to think a lot. But it's easy to pick up.
Yeah, that's the thing, right?
Easy to pick up, hard to master.
Exactly. Yeah.
She needs to get a city. Right now, she's got 5 settlements out there. That's all she can build. She's got to go for an upgrade right now.
Right, so she needs to really be focusing on her training.
Yes.
I used to stay up all night playing stuff. I never pulled an all-nighter to study, but for this game, I do.
There you go.
It's been in print for 20 years now, 20th anniversary this year. It's still gaining momentum, still gaining steam.
It has multiple expansions, and they don't feel like they're just tacked onto the game. Each expansion seems to add like different elements and layers and new types of strategy.
I actually took Gina here as my apprentice just 6 months ago.
I've been playing for about a year and a half, 2 years, so.
I don't take any apprentices that don't have at least a year and a half underneath their belt, so Gina just made the cut.
It's It's a 2-year event for the World Championships, and what people are doing here today and what they do at our events across the country is they're qualifying to play in the Nationals here in the United States at Catan 2015 in Indianapolis.
This is the National Settlers of Catan qualifier in Orange County. We're about to start round 2.
Are you shaky?
Back to the game. You guys have been talking a whole lot while we're on that break, and I'd love for you to sort of repeat. You have a general summation as to what the heck is going on.
The thing we are doing now is okay, so we're not Scott. If we don't get to swap with him, how are we stopping him? How are we slowing him down?
Right now, Shiv has to keep the pressure, or has to try to maintain the longest road to keep the 2 points out of Scott's hands. He still needs to build at least one more road, probably around that 10 grain hex on at about 4 o'clock on your in your screen here.
Right.
Drop down a settlement. Actually, from his standpoint, he needs to build a city, so he needs to have some fortune come his way in rolls of 3 and 4 to be able to generate some ore, so that he can put down a city, which will then free up a settlement for him. That probably immediately back down on the board.
And if that's not forthcoming, you can try and block Orange a little bit with the road building. The problem here is that you'd be doing that with the settlement he has sitting up on that 9-4, and no matter which way he cuts, and Orange just took that away from him.
Okay,
so,
and that may be
right.
that may be it.
Yes.
That may be it.
We're doing the count right now.
They're doing the count right now. Card should change hands. A victory point card in his hand.
Well, we don't see one on the table.
I don't see one on the table.
Face
He's
down
still
on the table.
holding his card, so
but
I'm pressured right now. Scott is at 9 points.
He could.
There's the city.
There he goes. He just built a city.
Do the count.
And that's number 10.
There it is. Scott Scribner is our U.S. champion.
Wow. Okay.
That was a dominating performance from beginning to end.
Very good game.
Very good.
It was going to be a tough comeback.
So Scott will make his second. I'm not sure. I think we've had one other U.S. player that has been at 2 Worlds and has made a Worlds before.
For sure.
So Scott will join a very small group of people that have made U.S. champions that have made Worlds more than once.
That's great. I'd love to get
And
him
a
in
worthy
here as well.
one
Could somebody
he
help
will
me
be.
get him over here?
He's a very worthy,
experienced,
but we
fine
got
player.
we got to give a hand to those guys. Scott got out there way early. I mean, he a dominating performance early, and they did slow him up.
Shiv did everything he could to give the other players a chance. So,
and the guys did their part as well. You know, MJ had a little middle game going there for a moment, but Scott was able to always build those 2 roads or move that robber just a little bit ahead of everybody.
Okay, and I think we're going to take a break, and then we're going to bring Scott in and have a few words, and then we'll carry on.
Okay.
Very good.
Actually, they...
Everyone, we're almost ready to play Cones of Dunch, except, well, hang on a sec. I just need to get this bracket organized. Oh, 2 more people. So it's a triple elimination / double round robin style with a dual wild card. Hang on 1 minute here. We're gonna start live streaming in a second. Can I maybe get a hand over here? It's tournament time?
What's the matter, friend?
Why isn't there an easy way to run a tournament? I give up.
Well, listen, before you toss your cones, can you help me out with something?
Yeah, I guess.
Wonderful. It's this way. Welcome to my tournament. You could have this many people too, you know?
I'd need an army to register that many people.
Army? Oh, no. Everyone here registered themselves from their own phones. Anyone can check the score at any time.
Okay. I'm one guy. I can't organize this many people. The number of seating charts I would need. Dang. How could you ever find the time to enter all this data?
It's automatic. The live streaming, too.
How?
Oomba.
Oh, God bless you.
No, Oomba. They give me everything I need to run tournaments like this. Big or small. Thursday night Catan, Saturday it's cricket, Sunday cards and cheerleading.
All with Oomba? Let's do this. Awesome. Sweet. Oh, man. It's radical. What? It's tournament time. And roll.
There's a cliff. It could be their last stand.
Oomba, of course, is the premier tournament organization software and fully integrated media company on the planet.
We are back with the Catan National 2015 winner, Mr. Scott Scribner. Good job, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Good job, man.
So we were, obviously we were watching the game and kind of, you'll get to listen to it later and laugh at our prognostication. Yes, but really for us, we knew it was going to come down to harbors. We knew that brick was going to be so tight that whoever's going to get out to those harbor spots, it was going to be critical to this game. And basically, you got out to that sheep harbor very quickly, and then just that 1-2 hammer getting out to those brick spots. That was a pretty fast move, fast opening for you.
It was. Usually I like to hang back a bit and then let someone else move and then move back, and be in it in like the mid game and then explode. But I really think that the one move where I actually built 2 roads and got on the 3-for-1 port on the backside of the 6 was what won me the game because one, MJ is a very strong player. You have a lot of respect for his ability at Catan, but one, being able to take that port away from him was strong, but getting the port for me, because it was actually, once I got it, it was the more important port because I was using it to buy dev cards and staying in that battle. It was at least pushing Robert to buy more dev cards and everyone else to buy dev cards just to slow me down.
Yeah, it was fascinating, certainly, and Shiv did everything he could to put pressure on you with the longest road, by building out blue, giving you a little bit of a block there on the side. But and certainly MJ, as strong a player as he was, knew that the two of you were going to be duking it out for a while, so he just kept kind of building his spot. So if we did go to a long end game, he was ready to go. But it was just such a dominant position. Once you had those Rescars cards coming in, you had the 3-to-1 port, you had the 2-to-1 sheep you were able to convert. Just strong.
And that port move, I might note, did also allow him to hang on to that longest road. I mean, it was a big.
But they were all trying to stop me from getting that final night. I think the bigger thing was that Monopoly card, because I was like, that Monopoly card's huge. It was what allowed me to build the city, to actually get my second city and my settlement, turn the game around, because I went from first to last to first again, so it was nice.
Talk a little bit real quickly. You've been to the Worlds before. You in 2006, you were U.S. champion, went on to the Worlds. This will be your second Worlds. What did you learn out of your first Worlds that you're going to take into this one?
Well, I mean, what I learned after I won the U.S. championship the first time back in 2006 was to take it easy, because I think too many people treat Catan like it's insane chess master time, And I don't think that's a good way to play chess, and I don't think it's a good way to play Catan. And there's a large social aspect of the game. And, the first year that I did it, I was still doing the social aspect, but now that there's not a whole lot of tension when I go into the tournament. I mean, that was stressful. I made it to a final table, so the stress is going to be on. But up until that point, I didn't really have any stress. Like the opening round, I got in on the last game with a win. And just really 3 strong placements beforehand. It was just like, I'm just here to have fun. And that's really it. And you know, as long as you play well, you're satisfied with the game. And now, as long as I play well, I'm satisfied with the outcome. So.
Oh, no, I have to say it was an awesome performance, and you're a very worthy champion. We're very excited about seeing you a second time in the
entertaining game. You know, it was a
world.
lot of fun to look over you guys' shoulder as the game played out. And you know, players. So
yeah, they were really good. So
congratulations. We look forward to
Congratulations, and we shall see you next year.
All right. Thank you.
Please say where you are.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job. Thank you.
Worthy representative.
Yeah, stay where you are. It's fine. Okay. Thank you guys. Great.
Our pleasure. It's always a lot of fun.
Always
Pleasure's
fun
always
hanging out
ours.
with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Enjoying beating the
Yeah, great.
And thanks to everybody who watched, and you'll be able to watch it again on Umba.tv, where it will live forever, as with all other Catan broadcasts. And that's it. Signing out from Gen Con 2015 Live. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, is this Axel? Yeah. The man with the plan. Axel.
Each one of his turns is going to the full 45 seconds. Dude, you have 2 mana. How much do you have to think about? I don't see a way for him to win this. RNG, RNG, RNG! Oh! RNG!
Wow, look at that. You got the bear. The strong bear. But I don't think Flame Walker cares. Oh, here we go! Oh.
Your favorite card sucks.
Hey, I mean, it's not mine.
Ouch!
Oh, son of a monkey.
I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh back then, a long time ago, but
So he did have the heart of the cards. I told you this.
Yeah, that card decking was real.
We were observing, so you did carry that skill over.
Your inner Egyptian god was just like, yes.
I had to think of it before.